Welcome to Take 10. I start a series today that is actually 13 10-minute segments long. So you'll get them here and there, and if I have someone interesting come into the office, I'll grab them for an interview, throw it in the middle of this, and then we'll get back to it. But I think I have something that's going to strengthen you into a way of success like you've never thought. Remember, faith is the fuel that generates hope. And I have to bring faith to you by sometimes bringing some acknowledgments of those things you can change today to make strength. So this first part of the segment is going to be an introduction to the other 12 PowerPoints. You're going to see great things in this. And I have entitled it, The Lobby of the Mind. Did you know that we never think about your mind having a lobby? You wouldn't even dream of going into an office or a business office or your church or any commercial building without having a lobby on the front end. You don't just burst into the room. You come in, there's a receptionist there, there's signs, there may be a cup of coffee. In a doctor's office, you're just going to wait for a long, long time, and it seems like they have the most uncomfortable chairs in all the world. We look at our minds much the same way. Things burst into our minds, things come in and take over, trouble comes. And I've watched it hurt people so badly that they think they have to react. And nothing is so different in my day now as it was when I was younger. When I was younger, you got a letter in the mail. Oh boy, we called the mailbox the black hole of disappointment. You go to it, you'd open it up. Be overseas somewhere for years at a time. Open up that letter from the United States, and it either had good news or it had bad news. Instantly, it hit your mind upon reading the letter while you tried to decipher what they meant and whether it was really good news or it was bad news. And it could mess up your whole day. Burst into the mind. Burst into where you were. No lobby, nothing to protect you, and it's just gotten worse. Now, a tweet, an email, a message, an instant message. It seems like there are 1,000 ways to get your attention instantly and have something barge into your mind that has nothing to do with the task at hand, and now you are endangered that your faith would fail and you would be caught off guard in other areas. Sometimes I think the worst enemy is that embattlement of the mind. When I was younger, I preached a lot on the mind of faith. I believe that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I believe I hold it in my hands. I can see it. My perception when I'm in the faith mode gets so sharp that I can actually hold that three-dimensional thing that I'm thinking of in my literal hands before it ever takes place in the natural. Oh, we worked on that a while, like the last 40 or 50 years, but I can tell you all that can go away in the moment that something else enters your mind. So why not put a lobby on the front room of your mind? You can't go to the doctor's office. You can't go into any commercial building. You can't go anywhere without first of all entering into the lobby. That way you can't burst into a meeting that is in progress or burst into something that is there. And I can tell you today, many of you are on the battle for your life. You're in a battlefield and your mind is working on that, and it is often disturbed. And the pain of the intruder is long felt after the intrusion has taken place. We used to call that the battlefield of the mind. And I preached on that until Francis Frangipane came along with a book entitled The Battlefield of the Mind, which brought to a concept book things that preachers were preaching, warning people, helping people, working on what was going on inside of the mind. And I took to that book and I realized that there was war not in the heavenlies, war in the mind. That'll tire you, that'll weary you, that'll cause you to be pulled away into things that you would never be pulled away into, cause sin to come in, cause trouble to arise, cause you to be short with your family, cause you to do all the things that you said you would never do. And nowadays, there are a few books on the Christian bookshelf that have just come out by popular teachers, where the battlefield of the mind becomes a popular subject in today's Christian arena all over again. However, in the kingdom, it is more important to create a lobby at the entrance of your mind where that war takes place, rather than let it come in and try to eject it. Now, we've all been in a building or been in a place or been in the church or been in an office where you were trying to get somebody to leave. Sometimes it's very nice. Sometimes it's created by a secretary walking in and saying, you have an upcoming appointment, by someone saying, so emergency is taking place, or can you take this call right now? Perhaps it's in a situation that you see on television where someone is being forced to leave by calling the police. Maybe you've been involved in that. That is because someone has taken up camp inside of your mind and not in the lobby where things can easily be dealt with. In Psalms 141, 2 and 3, King David wrote emphatically that the kingdom-minded person should set a watch or a guard at the mouth which speaks the mind. And we understand that. It's not a concept that you are unaware of. It's not something you have to pull over with your car now and get off the podcast or get off the internet that you're listening to me on right now. We just know that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And if you're dwelling on something a long time, you create ruts in the mind. You create routines. This destroys how you perceive things. You don't have time to weigh out things and get an honest perception from a godly directive. You just perceive based on the things that you have been through, the things you have heard, the things you have done, the bitter root judgments that you've made, the things that times you've said, I will never do this again, or I'll never be a part of that again. And when something starts coming into your present mind, through your eye gates, your ear gates, through a smell, can take you back. There's just a lot of ways it gets inside of your mind. If you have no guard or no lobby with which to deal with these things, it will immediately begin to warp your perception. Why am I on this so hard? Because I have watched from my pinnacle where God has brought me to a place where I see the lives of many ministers, many businessmen, fantastic entrepreneurial spirits that God has raised up to do fantastic things in this earth be taken away from their primary course because things burst into their mind and they are dealing with those troubles. In the lobby of the mind, this is where we choose to let which thought will be allowed into the framework of our subsequent actions. You're going to take action. You're going to do things based on the way you see it, the way you perceive it, the way you know it. You're going to trust people or not trust people. You're going to look at where someone is there who might not be there. But I can tell you this, your perception will be granted to you by those things you put in the lobby. It's time to set up your lobby now. We're going to go into that in the days to come. We're going to go up into that 12 different pieces of furniture that must be in your lobby that protects your inner mind. Before I go today, let me tell you a story. David Berkowitz became a serial killer from Brooklyn by the entertainment of murderous thoughts and ruled the surrounding boroughs as the son of Sam, 1976 to 77. And after incarceration, he was given a New Testament with Psalms by visiting ministers from Brooklyn Tabernacle. He was told to begin with the Psalms because a man named David wrote it. He didn't know a thing about the Bible. Then he met Jesus through David. But the perception of a killer, a brutal guy, would never cross the paths of some Christian's mind. But no one knew that for 18 months, every Friday night, he had a standing call with Pastor Jim Sembla of Brooklyn Tab, and he discipled him. Now this guy has a 700-year sentence. He'll never be released. But he's in ministry, and he's in prison as a meek and mild man of God. Murdered, suicide, his mind was a mess. But that pastor created a lobby in his mind, put some furniture in there that protected him. And now, even though he'll never see the light of day like you and I do, he will meet us in heaven, and he will have a group of men like himself, like the Apostle Paul, who became meek and mild men and women of God. Now you go have a good day and get ready, because the next few tech teens are going to bring you to a place of power in your mind. The lobby of the mind is here. God bless you.